morning. Good morning. Welcome to Saturday morning's edition of Detroit in Black and White. We are happy to be here. This is a brisk fall morning. Very brisk fall morning.
Dwayla's with us.
I know. D-Love, what's going on? I call her D-Love. Dwayla. Good morning, Dwayla. We're so happy. Yeah, Dwayla.
Dwayne. Dwayne Wright.
It took me 3 years.
Classmates from Oak Park.
Sorry, Dwayla.
So, this morning we have...
We got Roy McCalister, who's running for 2nd District City Council in Detroit, former Detroit police officer and high-ranking official.
Yeah, friend of the show.
Yes, he was in the council and he did not get reelected the second time, but he's up again, and I think he's probably knows he's got to work a little harder to make sure he gets back in there. But he's a solid guy.
Yeah.
We also have Sylvia Jordan, a 17-year veteran of the Southfield City Council, who's running for mayor, who came close in the primary, 56 to 39. She had 39% of the vote. So.
And who is she? Right? Is
Ken Stiver.
Oh, so he is the mayor.
Yeah, he is the mayor. He's been the mayor
since 2015. I think he's running for his 3rd term.
Well,
he is. I know both of them.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So before we get started, we're also going to have, is it Adolph joining us this morning?
Yes.
He's supposed to, he's joining us this morning. We expect for him to join us this morning. So it should be a pretty lively conversation. So we're going to start.
Always.
Yeah. We have Jim Nardone, former chief of police for the Trenton Police Department. We also have Eastside
Al.
Eastside Al. Deadline Detroit, Washington Post. Good morning.
Good morning.
You also have Vanessa Moss up here this morning.
Detroit News too, right?
Detroit News. 11 years for Detroit News in the Lansing Bureau, and then I covered federal court and federal law enforcement.
And he didn't get arrested. He just covered the federal court.
I went on raids and everything.
Oh,
we went to crack houses and all that.
Me too.
Educational.
It was fun.
Yes, educational.
I'm not going to tell you whether or not I've been in the crack house, but at any rate, I do want to follow up on something that we talked about last night. I saw something this morning about how there's so much false information that's out there on the internet, but now you have AI that's taken over, and they may take a sliver of truthful information and build the story around it, and they're making a whole lot of money. And a lot of these people are not even Americans.
Really?
They're not even Americans. Yeah.
Good morning,
I
Jill.
thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Well, the AI thing is becoming very controversial because what's happening is that like companies like the New York Times who are producing the content, AI is taking that content and summarizing it, and they're going on the top of the Google page, and the New York Times is losing traffic and stuff like that. So there's some copyright issues and trademark issues and all that going on. So it's the Wild West. I mean, the internet is still the Wild West, still trying to figure out how to regulate it.
It's easy to identify AI written stories because they're so fake looking.
Oh, they are. I mean, when you go on the internet, you can look at it and say, "Oh, this is not fake." But I heard this morning that you have a lot of seasoned people who watch YouTube and they click on this, it's clickbait, of course, and they really believe this information. They go out and report it to other people, which is really ridiculous. I think that if you go into, because I watch YouTube a lot, but you have to have a discerning spirit to know that this is a bunch of bull. This is not. Speaking of AI, why did I hear on NPR that Amazon is going to lay off 14,000 people? They're going to get rid of their jobs, corporate positions, management positions. Why? They're going to replace it with what?
AI.
Artificial intelligence. $3.9 billion.
Well, I think what they're saying, the advice that people are giving workers is learn AI, be part of the AI, and don't get squeezed out from it. And so we don't know, though. I mean, look, I mean, the whole thing is, a friend, Ray Kurzweil, who's written a couple of books on singularity,
Mhm.
and the whole thing is about at some point AI is going to overtake human intelligence. We're not there yet, but there's a fear that AI is going to dominate. We've seen it in movies, sci-fi
Yeah.
movies, where the robots take over because of the AI, and that's something to be concerned about.
Isn't that what the people in Hollywood was talking about when there was a strike a couple of years ago?
But their images.
Exactly. So I mean, it's something.
Let's welcome our friends this morning.
Let me say one last quick thing. On when you go on Facebook and stuff like that, you'll see like people from Shark Tank, and they're endorsing these products, and it's AI. They're not even. It's not real. They're not endorsing those products.
And I like Shark Tank. Good morning, Dwayla, again.
I'm a fan too.
Karen Winston, good morning, Karen. Hope you all are well today. Buenos dias, our friend Eric Brown. Shared Karen Winston, good morning. Jill Sheridan, hopefully you're in that warm state. DMC KJ41V at ET Phone Home. I'm not sure who he's referring to, but good morning. Good morning to Tracy, our old friend Tracy. Not old as old, our longtime friend Tracy. Mr. 1213, good morning to you. Peter Morrell Peter, there's in 2 Southwest Detroit. We're in a recession, Dorian says, and nobody knows it. It appears to be this feeling like something is about to happen that's going to make Detroit a laughingstock once again. The primary and general election season has been too quiet. Eric Brown. And I think, Eric, we talked a little bit about that last night. The federal government's using every opportunity to meddle in, I guess I don't like this blue state, red state. I don't care for all that. But if you give the current administration opportunity to come into your community and meddle, I guess is the word, they're taking that opportunity in some cases, which is kind of scary to me.
Yeah. Good morning, Cynthia Johnson. Cynthia Johnson watches the show, and actually, I wanted to give her a shout out. She is a small business owner. She owns a boutique in Southfield, Timbers, which is in Southfield. She watches the show all the time. Even when she's out of town, she watches the show. So I want to give her a special shout out.
Maybe she wants to weigh in on the mayor's race.
Maybe she does. Maybe she does. She owns a business in Southfield, and maybe she does. The other thing is Terry McCrimmon made a comment, and he said local Fox News reported this morning that UPS is laying off 48,000 people. That's a lot of people that's going to be unemployed
didn't they just get a big contract?
They did, like last year or year before. I think they were making like close to $50 an hour or something. I don't know if that was the setup for the fall or what. But
and wow. Timothy Square Bay's out there. Good morning, Timothy.
Yeah. So, what do you want to talk about this morning, Jim?
I want to touch on something. We had some guests on last week, and I don't want to get too specific, but there was a question about the Detroit Police Department and their policies, and to be fair to the chief and to the city of Detroit and those people that work for the city of Detroit, we had a candidate that suggested that their policies were not online, and I was able to pull those policies up, and they are online. A lot of the Detroit police policies, like the chase policy and the towing, those policies are online. So if you have interest in the Detroit police policies, they are online, and you can pull them up. So
did you have a hard time finding it? Was it easy to find?
Yes.
Okay.
It was absolutely. It took me about 15 seconds to find it. So if you have a question about their chase policy or whether you need to contact whatever their policies are, they are not an accredited agency, as it was pointed out, but their policies are on the Detroit Police website. They're not on some backdoor website. They are there.
Why are they not accredited?
Well, it's a process. So accreditation just came to being in Michigan by the state in the last, it's been less than a decade. So a lot of smaller departments there's a process, and I'm not sure if they're in the process or not. So I don't want to weigh in on that, because I'm not sure that accreditation is all that it's cracked up to be.
Right.
But it's a process.
Okay. Is it a long process?
It is a very long process.
Okay.
And then the citizens weigh in. You put your policies out. They go out to the citizens, and the citizens review them, and if they have questions, and it's a big deal. It's very time consuming.
Okay. All right.
They usually have accreditation manager.
Right.
Eastside Al.
Yeah. I mean, I find this outrageous. Bridge Detroit reports today that the issue we were talking about last night about Mary Sheffield voting on contracts in which she had a relationship with somebody. It says that the corporate counsel, I guess, Conrad Mallett, has said that she does not have to disclose her relationship when voting, because the ethics only applies to employees, not to city council members, which to me is just outrageous. That it's like, why would they be the exception? They should be, if anything, I'm most concerned about them voting on contracts than anybody else. I mean, them and the mayor. I just think it's kind of outrageous that it's, there's some common sense there. I have a conflict of interest, therefore, they said, and I'm going to look into this. The Sheffield people are saying that she was obligated, if she was at a meeting, to vote for something. Where, again, I find that incredulous, because if you're elected by the people, you don't have to, you do the right thing according to the people, and the people want transparency. And they want, if you have a conflict of interest, if you have a relationship with somebody, I'm sorry, I don't want you voting on that. And I'm a citizen. We're residents of the city, and we want ethical government. And for them to say ethical government, except for, I mean, the other thing, I mean, we've talked about before, and I know this doesn't bother you, but some of the people hiring family members, like, Coleman Young, the second, having his mother's chief of staff. I think there's some other relatives there and stuff like that. I think it's just, we need to be a 21st century city. We want to be a first-rate city. We can't act like we're back in the, the 20th century. It's the 21st century, and we want to be the first-rate city. We've got to act like a first-rate city.
Terry McCrimmon said he thought that Mary was married. No, she's engaged, but not married.
Oh, she's engaged?
Yeah, she's wearing a ring.
Yeah, she was asked about that during the Free Press profile, and she just said, well, I'll talk about it afterwards, after the election, which, one of two things. One, I could see where maybe her, if she does have a fiance, says, I don't want to be part of your shit here. You're running for office. Or it's somebody that maybe, people should know about.
Or Dorian's right.
Yeah. Dorian says she's a liar and sneaky, perfect for the job.
Or Dorian.
She'll inherit Tuesday. Graft king, no, graft queen.
You can go back and check Dorian's comments from the other day.
But if you, if you out here, you already know who it is. Okay. Yeah. She doesn't have to say who it is. If you're out here,
know who it is?
If you're out here, you already know who it is.
Well, I don't care.
Okay.
You have to.
I don't care.
I don't either. But all I'm saying is the whole. I get, you want to protect your future spouse. I get it. But there's also, I mean, if they were to say the name, there may be some questions about that individual.
Well, that's the question. I mean,
okay,
look,
so,
I mean, some people raise questions, rightly or wrongly, with Mary Waters and Sam Riddle having a relationship. They've both been in trouble with the law, and Sam particularly has been involved. But Mary had I guess a misdemeanor conviction. And so it's good that people know that, and people can decide whether they care or not. And some may say, who cares?
People didn't care
But-
about Mary Waters. She won in the
Right,
landslide.
right.
And
Mary's
she
a
really
popular
worked hard.
candidate,
She is.
and
She
she'll
really
get
worked hard.
reelected
Right.
again. There's no question. I mean, look, the chances of her and Coleman winning reelection are probably pretty high. But I just think, with Mary, it's like, I don't care who she's dating. I don't care if she's married. I don't care whatever. But if she's engaged to somebody or going to marry somebody who raises questions in the political landscape, then I think people should know about it.
But you know what? That's interesting because some voters do care whether or not you're married. I mean, they do care. I noticed that Pastor Kinlock now has these billboards. He has the nice family on the billboards as well as the flyers. So for some people, the optics does matter.
They see it as stability.
So,
they see somebody as like stability. You're not going to be running around. Not that it matters. Look at JFK, man. That guy was like, yeah. I mean, all these politicians. I mean, there's a ton of them out there who they have the family image, and they've got something going on the side.
Just want whoever wins this election to run the city and it to be a priority. DeBreg 921 says the ring is for optics, and we don't know that. It could be. And Dorian, if you can name a clean politician, I'll sell you a bridge to Chicago.
I wish there was a bridge to Chicago.
The corporate counsel, Eric, is a supporter of hers, referring to Mary Sheffield. It looks like business as usual over there in the city of Detroit, and that's the unfortunate part. The city of Detroit Law Department lies. Thank you, Karen. They are, well, it goes back to the bought and sold in the marketplace kind of. It's groupthink, right? They all agree with each other, and they can always come to a conclusion that what a politician did is not criminal or is not a violation of a policy, but if you look at it on its face, anybody that's dating a contractor and voting on that contract, I don't think you need to be a lawyer to decide whether that's right or wrong.
Well, look, MLK, and not to invoke Hitler's name in any way, but he says, just remember what Hitler did in Germany was legal. And so sometimes what's legal is totally immoral, unethical, and stuff like that. And to me, it's just common, government 101. If you are having a relationship with somebody, you should disclose it at minimum. I mean, if she at least disclosed it and said, look, I've had a relationship with this person, I'm voting on the contract, at least there's some transparency, but you should recuse yourself, generally speaking. But we've talked about that before with like Clarence Thomas. He's voting on stuff that his wife Ginny is involved in, and he says, "Oh, we don't talk about politics at home." It doesn't matter. Ethics, some of the ethics are about optics, what people perceive, and if people perceive corruption, we want to try to avoid that as a politician. And we hold politicians to a certain standard. We try to.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break, and then we'll come back. Detroit Black and White, Saturday morning's edition.
Hello, Detroit. Early voting runs through Sunday, November 2nd. You can cast your ballot at one of our 9 early vote centers from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In this general election, we will elect the mayor, city council, city clerk, and other city officials. To find the location near you, visit our website or call us at 313-876-0190. So let your voice be heard and vote.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
You gonna have what now?
Yeah.
Gonna see more of the president.
We are back.
Oh, probably so. We're back in Detroit in Black and White. You were just wrapping up something. I'm sorry. Now I said, listen, we're going to have a break.
No, but I mean, we want transparency in government. We want honesty, and that's really important because we have had council members go to prison. We've had council members. We've had quite a few under an FBI investigation. I don't know. The last council member to go to prison, I can't remember. It was
Andre.
Leland?
No,
No,
not
no,
Andre.
no.
It was Spivey.
Spivey.
And I don't know if he's out yet.
Oh yeah, he's out.
He's out.
good.
But
yeah.
but look, we've had a history of people. Monica Conyers. We've had people go to prison, and we don't. It's not okay.
They've done some search warrants in the last few years, right?
Yeah, they did search warrants. But interesting, one of the council candidates who's running, she lost, was heirs. Her home was one of the homes that was raided, and I don't know if the FBI or the U.S. Attorney's Office at some point will sometimes give a clearance letter. If you're under a cloud, you get a clearance letter saying you're clear, everything's okay. And I don't know if Air's got one or not. She may have, but she's running. Again, nothing ever came of that, and that's kind of the shameful thing is once you get raided and you're reported in the news, then your reputation is smeared, and if nothing comes of that, then
Yeah. Well, I think that all of them lie. I hate to say that, but I think most politicians, I think they lie. For whatever reason.
Well, some do, some try than others. When I was in the Lansing Bureau of the Detroit News, I went up there very skeptical, and I ended up leaving with a lot of respect for a lot of the state lawmakers who I thought were really decent and honest. Not all of them. There were some sleazy ones, but then I went to D.C. at the Washington Post, and I said, all right, well, I have to be open, but I left with more skepticism in Congress. I think everybody's trying to get a piece of them, and a lot of them are so compromised.
So Dorian asked, I think he's asking, I don't think he's asking a question, he's making a point, but I'm going to ask the question. Are these politicians becoming more and more bold in their approach to, I guess, the way they look at the world? The reason I bring that question up is they asked Mary Sheffield about the tickets, and like I said, I wasn't concerned about the tickets. I was concerned about her response to the tickets.
Right.
And she obviously doesn't care what the citizens of Detroit think about whether she took Jeezy tickets or not. I don't care whether she took them or not either, but it's her answer. It's not the question, it's the answer. I don't have to answer to you people. I'm going to be the mayor of Detroit, and I'm going to do what the hell I want. I think that's where Dorian is. And I think there's some truth to that.
Well, you have a lot of politicians who feel that way. Hey, vote for me, and I won't set you free. I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. Right. I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. So don't believe what comes out my mouth. Basically, is what you're saying. Don't believe what comes out of their mouth. Let's believe in what your track record shows. If it shows nothing, then that means we're not going to get anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at it.
Well, the last mayor had a contractor who he ended up married to, right? Or the current mayor, I should say.
Yeah.
But nobody's, let's go back.
But even with that, he ended up marrying her. It was a big hullabaloo about what was going on, but it just seemed like
he'd get away with it.
They tamped it down. It just went away. And to be honest with you, as I've said before, he's done some great things, and he's done some things that was not cool at all. But the not cool things seems to be swept up under the rug. When you look at the current mayor's history, look what happened at the DMC. That speaks volumes. Look what happened. We're talking about the people that worked there thought that it was mismanaged. You had the nurses that was quitting left and right. You had the dirty
utensils or whatever,
utensils and all of that. Yeah. And then of course the hospital went from public hands to private hands. Okay. And he left just right before all of that took place. And people were really upset about that, right? Then of course he comes in. I don't know, one of my favorite superheroes is Batman. I'm not going to use him. He came in like Superman for the city of Detroit. I will say this, he's been very transparent. He said a lot of things that I've done, though some of these things were in place before I even came into office. But when you talk about the now current wife and the things that was done with it, that's a problem. When you talk about the story that you guys were talking about last night with the dirt, that's a problem. When you talk about, I remember Charlie LaDuff was doing stories about the bids and everything else for the demolition for the demolitions in the land bank. All those things seem to be swept under the rug because what we're looking at is the shiny things, the beautiful things that's downtown and all of that. And I think that we owe it to ourselves if we can't depend on independent media, if we can't depend on independent media to bring that information out. Listen, look at the history. You don't have to wait for them to bring it out. If you are here, if you are alive, if you watch the news, if you are out and about, you know what's going on. You can't forget it.
I think there was periods during the whole dirt thing and the investigation, and the demolition and the biddings and all that kind of stuff, where I was at a party, I ran into a federal source, and I said, hey, is Duggan getting indicted? And the person said, no. Said, Duggan has taken some shortcuts, but he's not putting money in his pocket. That's the way they saw it. And some of those shortcuts were probably, he wanted to expedite the demolition.
Right.
So you can do it where you use 20 companies and you go through all the bids and they get 1 or 2 homes, or you get 3 huge ones who have all the equipment and stuff like that. And so you do one where you say, okay, you do 40 homes and you do 40 homes and you do 40 homes. And that way you expedite the process. And he skipped some of the, protocols of the city in terms of the bids and stuff like that. So I think he did, they said, okay, he was doing it for the betterment of the city or whatever, but still there's a process there. So as safeguards so that there isn't corruption there and people don't.
But even with that, there were people who actually were indicted and went to prison.
Right.
He didn't.
But
I've said this a few weeks ago. He skirts right along the edge. All right. Like you said, he didn't take any money. He doesn't need any money. This man has been a master politician forever. He's drunk with power. He's drunk with control. And I don't think he is any different than a lot of politicians. Let me say that. I'm not picking on him because I dislike him or like him. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying it is what it is. It is what it is.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
Hello, Kenneth. Good morning. Came to Detroit after he drove down probably West Outer Drive, right? Not East Outer Drive. Came up West Outer Drive from Allen Park. I forgot my question was. My question was about Mary Sheffield. So if this isn't about people's personal lives, I don't care what Mike Duggan does in his first. I don't care what Mary Sheffield does. But when you give contracts, when you give the residents money to people, Mary Sheffield's the city council president. She's sitting back and saying the current mayor gave his girlfriend all this money. 2 people got fired from his administration that probably didn't do a damn thing wrong. Right. I don't care whose house he's hanging out with.
That disappeared, all the
intersection.
and all that.
What kind of example is that to the city council president? She's saying he's doing it. Why can't I do it?
Well, I think when personal life intersects with your professional life, with your public life, then it becomes people's things. And and that's one of the problems when you run for office. You're exposed to your personal life is exposed sometimes, and that's why some people don't want to deal with running for office. It's like, why should I have my life scrutinized and every little thing, So,
but that's a big deal. You're giving somebody $64 million in contracts, or you're getting that's the people that live here. It's their money.
It's only $64 million.
I know, it's their money. It's not his money. It's their money.
Right.
Yeah. One of our guests just walked in. We're trying to get her to scoot around
if we
the
can-
table.
Why don't you?
Yeah, come on, come on, come on.
Here,
come
I'll
on.
tell you what. Why don't you and I switch seats?
There you
So
go.
Okay, okay.
Allan
that
knows
sounds good.
that
Yeah.
way. That way we won't.
Good to
Give
see
Allan his pad
everybody.
because Allan likes to ask a lot of questions. He's a
Yeah.
reporter, so he's going to ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You want me to sit over on the other
No,
side?
no,
You
that's
just sit
good.
here?
Go
Okay. All right. Good morning. Good morning. This morning we have candidate for mayor of the city of Southfield, the field of the South.
Right up the lodge.
Right up the lodge with it. Someone I've known for
Many years.
many years because I used to
years.
live in Southfield.
Right.
Sylvia Jordan. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Vanessa, and all of the
Good
great
morning.
staff you have with you. It's good to be
We
here.
need to
This
get your
is
face
right.
in here, so let's
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
put that off to
On
the
this
side a
cold
little bit. But you're gonna have to
side.
talk right into the
Cold fall
microphone.
morning.
Yep.
We want to get your smiling face, but we want to get you.
So, Sylvia, you know what? For people who don't know who you are, I do. Give the people some background. I mean, you know, I know what you do. I know who your spouse is and your family, the whole thing. So, give our viewers some idea of who Sylvia Jordan, the person, is.
Well, I just love life. I love people. I love family. I love my community. And that's who I am. I've been an administrator of a daycare and a school for the past 30 years. I'm vested in children. I'm an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, and served on city council for 17 years in the city of Southfield in a leadership role. 12 years as council president, pro tem, voted by my peers to be on the city council. I am a go green person, so last week was not
All
good
right.
for me.
I'm a Spartan as well.
Okay, great. Go green, and born and raised in Detroit, Cass Tech High School.
Oh,
And that's who I am.
okay. Well, Sylvia, you decided this is not your first time running for mayor for the
No.
city of Southfield. So looked like you took a break. You said, you know what, let me step away from the political spotlight. Why now?
Well, you know, and that's exactly what I did. So I ran for mayor unsuccessfully in 2015 against the current mayor. And shortly after that, my husband had a brain bleed. I lost my son to cancer. So I said, it's time to focus on family. And that's exactly what I did for the last 10 years. However, last year, some people from City Hall, City Council came over to me and said, you got to get back involved. And I said, nope, I'm not interested. That phase of my life is done. I'm done with politics. And that was last April. And then they came back again in November. And they said, we really need you to think about running for mayor. And I told them again, nope, not interested in it. But at the end of the conversation, because I am a woman of faith,
Absolutely.
I said, let me do
I
this.
thought you were going to bring that in. Yeah.
Let me pray about it. And that's what I did. In January, I prayed about it. And I clearly said, I heard the Lord say, go for it. You've got some unfinished business. So I got in the race in February, and we've been going full steam ahead ever since then.
What is you're running against a veteran mayor who? Why are you a better choice than the current mayor?
Well, there are many reasons why I'm the better choice, and beside just having vision for the city, moving the city forward. 10 years, we were promised a downtown. We were promised completion of Northland. Those things have not taken place. In addition to, and I just found this out since I've been involved in the race, is that there were some things that were done illegally in terms of homes that were taken from residents, and that's forefront. That the city and the mayor took people's homes, over 138 homes from people.
For what purpose?
For purpose of taking it and putting it into their nonprofit. And so in the majority of those were African Americans that lost their homes. And in fact, it's still happening today.
Well, can you explain a little bit more?
So what happens is, if a person is facing foreclosure from the county, the city is given the first right of refusal, which means the city can step in and purchase that home.
Speak up so they can hear you too.
The city can step in and purchase that home before it goes to public auction. And so that was done specifically on homes that were already paid off. So these people had already paid off their home.
And they just owed taxes on it, is what
Just
you're
owed
suggesting.
taxes on it. And the city purchased a home, and then the city put those homes in their nonprofits. And people were turned away from paying the few pennies that they owed on those homes and not being able to.
I mean, they
purchase
went
it.
and said, look, I have the money, I want to
Look,
pay.
I have the money. And there's even John Stossel from ABC News did a report on it, several reports on it. They took it all the way up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ruled in those individuals' favor, demanding that Oakland County give them the money back for the equity in the home.
Right.
And even as of this day, less than 5 or 6 have been compensated for getting the money back.
Wow.
And it's
Crazy.
been it's being challenged by the current mayor and the current city administrator. So they won the court case, and they're
Right.
still not getting their money back,
Right,
which is
right.
just unfortunate.
Right. You know, when I left Southfield 5 years ago, and I'm sure you know Keith. Keith, I forgot Keith's last name, but he is a rebel rouser in
Keith
Southfield.
Jackson.
Listen, Keith was like, Vanessa, this is what's going on. I mean, and it was a lot of people that was talking about that in the city of Southfield. So I kept, you know, I'm nosy, so I kept abreast of the lawsuits and everything like that. So we'll see what happens. So
And let me tell you, I had no idea this was happening until I got in the race, and then people started bringing me this information. So this was not part of my campaign,
right.
was to expose this, but it's like, whoa, this has to be dealt with.
So one of the things that I know that was a hot button issue in the city of Southfield, you said that you're a daycare owner. What about that gun store that's
My goodness.
that's opening up next to the daycare center?
That was another big issue. So here we have, it was approved through the city, a gun store less than 30 yards from 30 feet from a daycare, 2 daycares, a large daycare and a small daycare, with the sign right up there. And so the neighborhood and the folks at the daycare were just alarmed. Here we are, when they drive into the driveway, they share a driveway, the daycare and the gun store. They share a driveway with the gun store. So there was an outrage in the community. The city council meeting probably had over 300 people there.
Wow.
But again, you've got leadership that allowed that to happen. There was no red flags that went off in everybody's head saying this is unacceptable. So that's why, it's got to be a change in leadership. It's got to be new eyes, new vision, a new commitment to take care of the city.
Jim, you have a question?
I did. You're running on a position of essential services. So we all know that after 2020, a lot of federal funds came in to, I'll use the word subsidize essential services, whether it's trash collection, fire and police, et cetera, over the last handful of years. Now cities are finding out that the money's disappearing and they don't have the cash to pay for police and fire and trash collection. So tell us what your thoughts are on that. I know that's one of the...
And that's a real critical area, because on my side of town, and it doesn't happen all around the city, but I live at the 10-mile Inkster area. Sometimes our trash is picked up at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening next day. It wasn't like this years ago. So you have to make sure that you've got the right city services in place and the right contracts in place. And so you've got to make sure that we're giving the citizens what we deserve with the amount of taxes that's being paid. So not only the city services has diminished, but we had our swimming pool closed down a couple of years ago. And so those types of things are not being taken care of in the city. And as it relates to the funds that were given to us by the federal government, that's the question on the table. What happened to these millions of dollars?
So go ahead.
When you talk about a vision for Southfield, I mean, Southfield has been an interesting city. It's a very vibrant city, and the government seems to manage the city well. What do you see as Southfield? What's the vision for moving it forward?
Moving it forward is, first of all, we need a downtown. We need a community space. We need gathering, and that is
Where
not
would that
happening.
be? Where would that be?
Well, the 2020 master plan for Southfield was supposed to take place directly across the street from City Hall. So there's a 8-acre piece of land.
And that's Evergreen.
Evergreen and Civic Center that's not developed. And in the master plan, when I was on the city council, we were turning Evergreen into a boulevard. So if you notice now, Evergreen Road between 10 Mile and 11 Mile is a nice boulevard, 2 roundabouts. And that was the vision, to put our downtown there. Well, that has not happened.
Right.
So the vision is a vibrant downtown, great dining. Right now in Southfield, if you live in Southfield and you want to go out to dinner with your family, this is what you decide. Am I going to go Farmington? Am I going Novi? Am I going Troy? Am I going to go to Detroit? You never think of a place in Southfield where you can take your family.
And Tequila Willie's is long gone.
Oh yeah.
You still have Fuddruckers.
I used to work
But you
right
would
there.
not take your
Yeah,
kids
I
here
know.
nowadays.
Right.
Oh my.
Yeah.
It
But
was-
TGI Fridays
Now
is
it's a
probably long
lounge.
gone too.
Well,
That's still,
TGI Fridays is still hanging
Yeah.
on by the hair of their chinny chin chin, but they need to survive. You know, they need to. I want to see them stay there. In fact, that's where I'm having my campaign rally at TGI Fridays, because I was talking to the manager. She said we need more business here,
Mhm.
and that would be a detriment to Southfield if TGI Fridays closed.
It's been there
down.
forever.
It's been
Yeah.
there forever.
Yeah.
that used to be the real single spot back
That's
in the,
right.
the
Back
80s.
in
I
the
remember
day.
those days.
Back in the day. So I want to see Northland develop
Tell
as
us about
well.
Yeah,
Northland.
right.
I grew up going to Northland. Northland was it. I mean, it was an amazing complex, really. I go by there, I see there's construction going on. What's happening?
Nothing. Nothing is going on
Well, I
with
heard there was
Northland.
No
there was dirt
apartments.
coming out of there.
Dirt
So
and weeds
they
and
were
all that
taking
other
dirt and relocating it to Detroit. I don't know if they needed to.
Right. So what's happening with Northland is absolutely nothing. It's been found that the current developer lacks the resources to get it done.
Oh no.
So that's what happened. Workers over there that are not union workers and workers that can't pass the inspections of the building that's been built. So here you have Northland sitting empty, and that would be a viable opportunity for additional taxes, again, for community. So Northland is sitting there.
What's the vision of Northland? What's the master plan?
So again,
Will you bring it
small
up?
boutique shops,
Uh,
affordable
I can read
housing.
it.
Even
how
when
many,
I-
how many housing units are we talking about?
So you can have probably at least 220. At that time, when I was on the city council, the plan was for Providence Hospital to develop an area for their for residents to live there, and that hasn't taken place either. And then Providence Hospital has since been, repurchased, and so I don't know where that stands with our relationship with them. So we need some fresh eyes to get some things done, put some things in place to keep.
We have a one of our colleagues that the frequent contributor that says new leadership is needed. Her name is Cynthia Johnson. She owns a business in Southfield.
Yeah. Right on
She says new leadership is needed in the city of Southfield. I can't believe that they're trying to open a gun store. There used to be a time that Southfield didn't have liquor stores. So
Right.
Southfield was a different community. And
Yeah.
you
So
want to respond to
let me
Cynthia?
go back to the gun store. So what happened with the gun store? Because of the uproar, the community uproar, the existing business, the daycare,
Mhm.
went and purchased the lease of the gun store. So they bought their lease out. They ended
Oh,
up
wow.
paying for the guy to relocate. So Southfield did nothing, even though it was Southfield's mistake.
Right.
But the
Private business resolved
private
that, is what you're
business
saying.
resolved it.
So,
Yeah.
Sylvia, let me ask you this. Serving as mayor in the city of Southfield is basically another voice on city council. You have a city manager, right? We need to take a break and then we'll come
we
back.
should
We're going to
take
take
a
a break and then I'll come
Okay,
back,
okay.
okay?
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. We have our guest, Sylvia Jordan, who's running for mayor for the city of Southfield. We're going to go to Jim, and then I'm going to go back to my question. Jim is going to read some of the comments.
Some of our comments. Dorian Denard starts with Orthodox Jews don't drink. There is some dispute.
I'll clarify. Orthodox Jews do drink, but they don't go bar hopping and all that kind of stuff. I think, they drink at home and at events and all that kind of stuff, but they don't.
Karen wants to know, what are the zoning restrictions? Providence is the best place to expand at, Dorian. I remember the Evergreen Grill is nice, but in a strip mall. Strip malls are the lifeline of the suburbs, unfortunately, Dorian again. The country has a sick mental culture. I'm not sure. I think that's gun stores next to daycare. That's oxymoronic in a literal sense. Thank you, Dorian. Detroit Coalition, I'm pushing for a direct democracy where we have semi-annual referendum voters before executing any policy. Sounds like Detroit politics. How? Wow, that mirrors Detroit. Karen Winston says the black middle class fled to West Bloomfield in the 90s as well. I think in talking about Southfield and Oak Park is where black middle class fled in the late 70s and all of the 80s. Duggan is a competent version of Trump. They move without accountability and people make excuses for them. That's Mr. Duckett. Terry McCrimmon had made the comment about Allan had made a great point. Somewhere he made a great point, so I think we better recognize that.
Yeah.
Good point. So I think with 17 years on the city council, which I think is, I worked in city government for 30 years. It takes a special person to be on the city council, and a city council president is the one that does the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the mayor is a figurehead.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to budgeting and finding money for swimming pools and police and fire and roadways, whatever the case is, you have the experience. So I think you should probably communicate a little bit to the people about how your experience compared to the sitting mayor who was elected the first time you ran for mayor.
That's right.
And what the difference in what you do and what he does. I think it is
right? A lot of people have said during this campaign, you haven't touted what you do and what you have done. And, my record speaks for itself, but I've had to manage the budgets. We've had to make sure that there are systems in place to keep our bond rating up. And I did that while on city council. But what's interesting with the mayor's position, the mayor can use that seat to really leverage the businesses that are in the city. So Southfield touts 10,000 businesses. But when you look on their website of the business director, and I was just there the other day, the Facebook page, there are about 20 people that are part of that. So the relationships haven't been leveraged that can be leveraged to get a buy-in to the city. I spoke with one of the owners of, we have several car dealers on Telegraph Road, and I met with him a couple of weeks ago. He said, my problem is Southfield hasn't embraced me. He said, I love to give back to this community. I love to sponsor signature events here. He said, but I'm alienated. Nobody reaches out to me. So that has to change with that mayor's position. We've got to bring everybody to the table, everybody on board, and say, what can we do as a team? We're in this together.
What is he looking for when you say reaching out?
Well, he wants to give back. He said, we don't have a signature event, which is true, that he says, I live out up near Fenton area. And he said, on one Friday night out of the school year, everybody knows that that's the homecoming game for this city. Businesses shut down. We all galvanize to support the students. We donate money. It's just a grand event for the city. He said, we really don't have that in Southfield. And he's true. We don't have that signature event that shuts down the city, gets everybody involved, get the families involved to come out. We don't even have the fireworks.
We used to have big
Right,
fireworks
right,
event
Yeah,
out there,
yeah.
right?
So that got shut
And
down.
I think that's part of the whole downtown. There's nothing
Right.
binding the whole city
The
together,
whole
and
city
downtowns are stuff and events
That's
like
right.
that are.
That's right.
So we have a question. Go ahead.
So I'm going to say, then we can go to the question. There was something about liquor stores in the city of Southfield. Now, I lived in Southfield for 32 years. And so when I first moved there, it wasn't that many liquor stores. It's liquor stores, as far as I'm concerned, everywhere. About a month ago, I went into a liquor store, and the disrespect that the owner displayed to the people that were coming in the store was ridiculous.
Wow.
I had to check him. He said to me, "What's up, baby?" I said, "Excuse me? Excuse me. You don't see any babies here." But he felt like, and I really believe this because of the color of my skin, the way that I look, he could talk to me like that. I'm sure I'm not the only woman that's walked in that store that he could talk to. I said, "It's Miss Moss, sir."
And
He said, "Excuse me." I said, "It's Miss Moss, sir." "Oh, man, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'm so sorry." But I mean, it was crazy. And the way he talked to the guys that was standing outside, it's just, it does not look like the Southfield at
That
all.
we don't. That's right. And so when this proposal came to put liquor stores and gas stations, I wasn't on the city council at the time. However, I got a call. "We need you to come down and speak up against this. And what can you do?" So what did I do? I put my networks together, and I emailed folks, called folks. There was an attorney that was against it as well. So we tried to put some systems in place to stop it. But the current council, and again, the mayor has veto rights. So
Right.
even if the council approved it, the mayor could have vetoed it. But it was just not any people on that council that was willing to say no. And so here we have a city that already has liquor stores, and yet now we're allowing gas stations to sell liquor. That's a detriment.
how many liquor stores are there in the city?
Oh boy, I'm not sure. But now that you've added gas stations, there are over 150 gas stations within the city
In
of South-
Southfield?
In Southfield.
100. Wow.
Yeah. So here we are, liquor stores and gas stations that can now sell liquor. That to me is just
Liquor and chicken.
And Dorian noticed that. He said Southfield's looking like, well, Dorian said liquor stores and gas stations in Southfield. It's starting to look like Northwest Detroit lately. There's a couple questions. Another comment, then questions. Terry McCrimmon said, "One thing that I observed over the last 40 years in Oakland County has a very large black middle class and a lot of rich black folks too, which is a good thing." JRW7TF, is it correct that Mrs. Jordan, Council President Jordan, was a previous Republican that switched to the Democratic Party? And before we get into that, it's a nonpartisan position, is what
Right.
you're.
It's nonpartisan position. But yes, I was a Republican
Right.
years ago, over 20 years ago, and that has since changed. And I'm a Democrat, and that's who I am, and that's how it says.
But you're running as a nonpartisan, and you want to do what's right for the community. We don't care about labels.
Yeah,
It's-
but people do care about labels. But I've been supported by the Michigan Black Caucus, and I've been supported by Virgie Rollins, who's the national
Virgie,
chairwoman
Virgie.
of the
Yeah.
women's group with the National Democratic Caucus. So
Jay knows who you are, obviously. He's asking to get it cleared up. And Miss Sheila 2129, is the mayor a mascot without power? We know that's not exactly true, but can you describe the weak, strong mayor for those that are?
yeah, so the mayor's position in Southfield, council has the power, and we appoint a city administrator. Yet the mayor is the figurehead for the city. However, the mayor appoints the planner who makes the decisions in the city. The mayor appoints the city attorney. The mayor appoints the emergency management director. So they're key, and
Police
the mayor,
and fire,
police-
DPW.
That's right. And the mayor appoints the various boards and commissions. So it is a position that has influence. It is a position that makes Southfield strong. It is a position that can veto what council decides. So it's a very important position.
Now, Jay's not going to let you up now. Thank you, Jay, for your question. Are you a Trump supporter?
Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely not. I wouldn't have been waving a flag at the No Keats Day a couple weeks ago.
I want to ask you. There was some event that you and your opponent were to attend. I understand they had the mayor had you escorted out. What the heck happened there?
This is a true story. So I was out campaigning this summer, and I was invited to a senior citizens apartment, the Woodridge Apartments. And so I was over there campaigning, and they said, "Why don't you come over?" One of the residents, and I went over, and they were having a Motown celebration as well. So they're having a barbecue in Motown. So my daughter and I go over, and we're just campaigning. I passed out all my literature, gave them some cookies. And so I was done campaigning, and I was just sitting on the side, just enjoying the Motown music. So in walks the mayor, and I think he might have been startled to see me there, but he walks in and he greets a few of the residents, and then he goes to the back of the room. I didn't see him anymore. And I said, boy, that was pretty fast to just kind of walk through this event. So I'm still there just enjoying the Motown music, not even communicating with the residents, just enjoying the music. Probably about 10 minutes later, this black guy comes in, big black guy. He says, "You've got to leave this building." I said, "I don't have to leave this building." He said, "You have to leave this building. This building is owned by the mayor." I said, "The mayor doesn't own this building. This building is owned by the city." I said, "No, I'm not leaving." He said, "You've got to leave this building." So he got really close to me and basically was pushing my daughter and I out of the building. And so my daughter-in-law said, "Ma, come on and leave. You don't want to make a scene." Because I have a fight in me. Even though I'm a very, low-key person, I can put up a fight.
And how old is your daughter?
My daughter is 37.
Oh, okay.
And so she said, "Ma, come on, let's leave. Let's not do it." And I've got pictures of it. We were all so startled that she didn't even think of recording because she's a,
Social,
yeah,
younger generation.
Younger generation,
instinctive.
yeah. So we didn't even think of recording. All I did was take pictures. So we leave out of the building, and I'm going to my car, and I see another current sitting city councilman who's running for re-election. I see him walk into the building. I said, "No way is he going to campaign and I don't get a chance to campaign." So I turn back around and go back into the building. And
That's
again,
the fight in her.
I go back into the building, and the guy comes back up to me. "You've got to leave. The mayor owns this building, and you've got to leave." So
That's outrageous.
That is.
This is the
I'm surprised the kid is acting like that.
This is the clicker. So I tell a friend of mine.
Mayor Cyber.
Mayor Cyber. So I tell a friend of mine who's an attorney. She said, "You know what? I'm going to see who owns that building. Maybe he does own the building." Well, she did some research, and come to find out, they have done some things with this nonprofit that stole the homes. His name is on.
He does own the building.
He does own the
So
building.
before we go, we have our guests have a lot of questions.
Wow.
And first off, Jay, he said, "I've lived in Southfield since 1989 and will fill out my absentee ballot soon." So Jay's out there and he knows people in Southfield. He lives in Southfield. And thank you for tuning in, Jay. Thank you for your input. Terry McCrimmon asked, does your guest, the council president here, think Oakland County is ready for a Black American to be elected county executive of Oakland County yet?
That's a good question. Again, it depends on the qualifications. It depends on who that person is. So I can't say, are we ready? I think it depends if that person is ready to lead.
Are you happy with the current executive?
I think he's doing a great job. I'm happy that he's really put his foot down in terms of ethics in government. I read in the paper today that he's dealing with that person. So that's what it takes. It takes a person that's going to bring ethics back to this government. You can't just be a get along, go along.
And G Money Hollywood, thanks for tuning in. We haven't heard from you yet today. Unfortunately, other suburban areas as well have gas stations selling liquor. It's in Troy, Rochester Hills as well. People are looking for their consumer services under one umbrella, nothing new. And I guess that's true. I was kind of shocked. I was traveling a couple weeks ago and I went into a Cracker Barrel and they asked if I wanted a drink. Well, I was traveling to Florida and I'm thinking, this doesn't make sense. Why is there alcohol in a Cracker Barrel on I-75 when you're driving down to Florida? So it's the same way with liquor stores. With cars, you can argue that you stop in to buy a bottle of liquor while you're gassing up your car. It seems contrary to what we should be doing.
But I think it's and I believe in the city of Southfield, there's an overabundance of
I think
stores and gas stations.
some of that, like I know 14. I have bought liquor at the gas station 14 in Northwestern, which I think is Farmington Hills, and those stores are now gas stations are much more than gas stations these days.
That's right.
There was a question
They're really
about
convenience stores.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a question about deed fraud too. What support have you given for deed fraud? We'll wait.
It has to be, that is a whole nother baby that really has to be addressed, and that may mean getting a special team on that because it has happened. It's happening all over.
Yeah, I know in Wayne County, the Wayne County prosecutors actually has a division. I know the person who is the head of the deed fraud division. So it may take something, you have a city attorney. It may take something like that, hiring somebody else who actually specialize, who addresses that issue. That may be something the city council as well as the mayor can explore doing something like that.
I found it here.
Yeah.
G Money Hollywood will be the first 2 tasks or 2 projects you will tackle in the first 6 months of office. And hello, Kenneth. Thanks for tuning in.
So the first thing I'd like to tackle is we've got to look at our master plan. So the master plan is the vision for the city. And we've got to pull that out and make sure it aligns with everybody's goals. Because right now in Southfield, if you haven't driven through yet, there's just sporadic development everywhere.
Mhm.
There is a car wash going at the corner of Northwestern and 12 Mile.
Yep.
That's a prominent corner to have a car wash. And so we've got to get everybody on the same page and look at our master plan and see where we're going, to see if everybody aligns with this. And then secondly, we've got to go after developing the downtown. That is crucial. We've got to bring back a sense of community. We've got to bring back the entertainment. We've got to bring back the arts. We've got to get restaurants here, and that we've got to bring back that sense of community. When I look at Oak Park is just a fraction of the size of Southfield.
Right.
And there's so much community there. Berkeley.
Yeah.
So much
Oak Park has
community
really
there.
developed the 11 Mile Road where they didn't have bars for a long time.
Right.
Now they have a whole bar district.
Yeah, 11 Mile and even 9 Mile where they put that nice trail in. So we've got some competition.
Right.
Smaller size cities that are doing
Right.
things that we can do.
Although Southfield's still, the library, police services, I think are still.
Our services are
Do
police
well.
services are doing well, but the library is being there may be some looking at that differently because people are doing so much online now.
Right. Although libraries are becoming somewhere like turning into coffee shops and other,
Yeah, yes.
a little bit more community service.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is, we're a little past 11, so we're going to have to wrap it up. So candidate Jordan, would you please tell people, give your last parting words and tell people how they can get in contact with your campaign. You got just a couple of more days before we see who becomes the victor. So
Yes. We're 3 days away. And I'm Sylvia Jordan, running for mayor. You can visit my website, sylviajordanformayor.com. And we're working hard. This is a critical election, and it is important that everybody gets out to vote. There's some critical things on the table, and that is Southfield's downtown, small businesses and entrepreneurs. We've got to give them the support that they need to thrive. Young families that are there, we've got to make sure that we have programming in place for young families and even the young folks that are there. There's nothing for our young people to do. And that's why our community center and just a sense of community has to take place. So I would love to have your support. I'd love to talk with you further, but you can visit me on my website. And thank you guys for having me today. It's been a great time of discussion, and I look forward to seeing you after November.
Can you go back in and look at some of the questions? Because we missed a few of them. One asked about a man performing at 10 in Southfield. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Not against the car wash on Northwestern, Dorian. A lot of expensive cars. dirt road debris. It's a gold mine out there. Gas stations are one-stop shops. Even though we don't live in Southfield, a lot of us have relatives that live in Southfield, Terry McCrimmon, and the surrounding areas, and we care what's going on in those places. So you have some impacts. So a lot of our viewers may not live in Southfield, but they care about what's going on.
Yeah, we're the center of it all. So our city just intersects going wherever you're going. So Southfield has to shine again, I believe.
It's still a great city. I mean, the property, I know during the crash, you could get a 4-bedroom home for like $85,000. Now I think they're back up to probably
200 plus.
Yeah, 200 plus. But there's a great housing stock in Southfield, and it's still a great city.
Yeah, and we can make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Join us again on Detroit Black and White. Don't forget, Detroit Black and White presents Reality Strikes with Eric Brown on Monday evening from 8:30 to 9:30. You will see us on Wednesday evening and Friday evening from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and next Saturday morning. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much for subscribing, and sharing. Have a good Saturday. Bye.